This is the WrestleBread Podcast, bringing you the latest news, recaps, and analysis of AEW and WWE. Get the unique perspective from a wrestling fan of over 25 years. Here's your host, Jaydee.
What's going on, guys? This is Jaydee here, and this is episode 30 of the WrestleBread Podcast. So we have NXT Takeover tonight. We also have Survivor Series tomorrow night. And then we have wrestling Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhat Thursday, and Friday again. So the marathon of wrestling continues. So I won't be going too deep into the highlights this week because a lot of things that happened on Raw, NXT, and Smackdown kind of tied into what's going on with NXT Takeover War Games and with Survivor Series as well. So I'm going to start off with some news. CM Punk returns, and he is officially on WWE Backstage. So I stand corrected. When he first appeared, I argued the fact that he still has to be under the umbrella of WWE and that he's on a WWE show. And he explained a lot of it this week on WWE Backstage, that he is a Fox employee. He also was on a radio show earlier this week as well. And he the host, I think it was Colin Cowherd or something like that. He also mentioned that aren't you a WWE employee? And CM Punk looked at him and said, well, are you an employee of NFL? So I completely get it now. I stand corrected. So I apologize for coming off for saying things that is completely untrue. So CM Punk is an employee of Fox instead of WWE. So it's very much like the pre-shows that we always see of analysts going over matchups for NFL, the pre-shows for UFC and boxing, basically all the shows that we see on NFL Network. They're not exact employees, or even on Fox, actually. They're not employees of NFL, they're employees of Fox. So WWE Backstage is more a Fox show that talks about WWE, just like on Fox Sports Sunday, with Michael Strahan and all of them. They're not exactly current employees of NFL, but they are Fox employees talking about NFL. So I completely get it. So I actually look forward to hearing his opinion about a lot of things WWE. I'm just very interested on how WWE feels about this Fox show, because WWE really wants to do this whole, sports look with them. They don't want to be, they still call themselves sports entertainment, but they want to be accepted by, the mainstream sports company. So I'm very curious to see how WWE feels about this show. And, the truthful opinions that's going to come out of this show as well. Of course, Seth Rollins is going on a bit of a Twitter tirade, wanting to fight Punk, even offering to fight CM Punk at WrestleMania next year, which I don't know why. I don't know if maybe it's a cry for attention or that he wants to have the guaranteed main event spot next year or something, but it's like, dude, you have other things to worry about right now. Also, following Survivor Series, we're going to get a new episode of the Broken Skull Sessions. So this was a rumor that we heard a little while ago of Stone Cold bringing out his podcast and interviewing WWE wrestlers. And his first episode is The Undertaker. And this is The Undertaker completely out of character, which is very rare. And he, the stories that this man has to tell is going to be like a complete story of, the way that wrestling works, like all the little, bits of juicy stories that this man will have. So it comes on after Survivor Series. Unfortunately, I have to be at work early the next day, so I'm more likely going to watch it on my way to work. And I'm probably going to watch it again because, I love The Undertaker. Also, ACH, formerly known as Jordan Miles, got his official release. He tweeted this out on Twitter, of course. Even tagged Vince McMahon, saying that Vince McMahon can no longer hold him down. It's like, okay, dude, you got what you wanted. Like, I don't know why he's still going on with it. I think he had his match already. I think it was this past Friday or maybe next Friday that he was involved in a match at some indie promotion. I forgot which promotion it was. But he was already booked for a match, and he tweeted out a photo signing paperwork. His hat was covering the WWE logo, but you can kind of see the part of the W sticking out from where his hat was at. So, best of luck to him. I don't know where, you can go from here really after that whole tirade, but I wish him luck, I guess. So on to some WWE, well, actually, no. NXT finally has beaten AEW this week. NXT came in with 916,000 viewers, where AEW got 893,000 viewers. And to that, I say, good. Hopefully this is a kick in the butt to AEW to turn around and want to put on a good show as well. I kind of figured that NXT will bump up in ratings since we have this whole invasion that they did on Smackdown a couple of weeks ago, and that NXT, Raw, and Smackdown have all been appearing on every show, that now that casual viewers are kind of get more familiar with NXT, and maybe more people will start to watch NXT a little more. But this is a great thing for wrestling fans on Wednesdays, that we have this back and forth between the promotions. Of course, hardcore fans on both sides are making excuses of why there was a switch up this week. I like it. I like it when AEW beats NXT. I like it when NXT beats AEW. It kind of puts a fire on both promotions to put on the best show. And like I had said before, I'm very interested in what happens with NXT after, Survivor Series and Takeover, where they don't have the Raw and SmackDown competitors coming onto their show to invade. I always have an issue with NXT still being in that Full Sail arena because it feels like you're watching an indie show. Now, it may be a niche for a lot of people that they like the fact that it's a small, feel that indie feel. But I feel as though they should be traveling somewhere, kind of, sort of like what AEW is doing, how AEW is traveling around to a lot of arenas that hold like around 20,000 people or less. NXT should do the same thing. I think it will help people, bring more people in to watch the show on a weekly basis, because a lot of casual fans don't watch NXT because they don't subscribe to the WWE network. AEW also released their rankings this week, and there was some slight changes because of AEW Dynamite this week. We did have Britt Baker, who was number 1, going against Hikaru Shida, who was number 2. We had a great episode of AEW Dynamite this week. But the ratings now, for the men, we have Pac, who's number 1, Jon Moxley is number 2, Cody number 3, Hangman Adam Page number 4, and Kenny Omega number 5. For the women, there's been a shakeup. Now we have Hikaru Shida as number 1, Britt Baker as number 2, Emi Sakura as number 3, Nyla Rose as number 4, and Ali as number 5. Which is a bit surprising because both Nyla Rose and Ali has losing records. As far as teams go, my guys, the Lucha Bros, are number 1, the Young Bucks number 2, Private Party number 3, Proud and Powerful number 4, and the Dark Order number 5. The Dark Order this week on AEW Dynamite, they had a vignette that was very interesting. There was a guy who was mentioning how, are you lonely? Do you feel down? Do you feel like you don't belong? We have a solution for you. You can come and join us where you could be accepted and loved no matter where you go. And you kind of see it was like a group of people that was standing around talking. and the screen kind of like glitches a little, and you see Matt, the Dark Order mask, popping over their faces. And at the end, the guy says, "Join us, use the hashtag Join Dark Order, and we will find you." And the screen glitches again, and you see that he has the mask on as well. Very interesting kind of change with the Dark Order. I always had an issue with the Dark Order because unless you knew them from before as the Super Mario Brothers, I think their former name was, or Super Smash Brothers, you really didn't know who they were or what they were about. So AEW now suddenly doing these vignettes, it kind of puts, a story to why the Dark Order are who they are. So of course, a lot of people use the hashtag to kind of want to quote unquote join the Dark Order. So maybe next week, for next week's episode of AEW Dynamite, we'll get a little more information about the Dark Order. Why do they have the quote unquote, I think they're called the creepers or minions or whatever they are? Why are they following them all around? Why does the guy wear the mask? Why does the other guy look like he is a reject from the Viking Raiders? But hopefully we'll get all those answers coming up. We also saw the return of Luchasaurus. He went against Peter Avalon, which was pretty much a squash match. AEW Dynamite started out with a awesome match between Rey Fenix and Nick Jackson. Not that often that we see the Lucha Bros and the Young Bucks in singles action. But of course, like I always say, Rey Fenix is not a human being. I wish that the balance in my life will be as balanced as Rey Fenix on those ropes. Because I think it was like maybe once that we saw a bit of a slip up, but ever since then, it's just like he runs the ropes. He hops up on one rope, down to the second rope, up on the other rope. There was a great sequence with Nick Jackson, too, who kind of was on the top rope, jumped down to the second rope. No, he was on the second rope, jumped to the top rope, and then did a Hurricanrana on Rey Fenix, who was on the top rope as well. Very good action. We also had a battle royale it was called the Diamond Dozen, and the two people who remained in the ring will go on to face each other the next week on AEW Dynamite, and the winner will get this diamond ring. I don't know they didn't really explain the significance of this diamond ring. Like, will they get a title shot? Or are they going to like pawn it somewhere and get the cash, or what? So the 12 men that was in the match was Hangman Adam Page, Chuck Taylor from the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, Kip Sabian with Penelope Ford by his side, Jimmy Havoc, Jungle Boy, Pentagon, Sonny Kiss, Joey Janela, MJF, Billy Gunn, and Marco Stunt. So Pentagon was the first one to get eliminated. It was because, let me see, I think Chris Daniels was dressed up as, I forgot who he was dressed up as. I think it was Rey Fenix, maybe. He had on a Rey Fenix mask, I think it was, and he went to do the Cerro Miedo, and Chris Daniels took off the mask, revealed himself, and grabbed Pentagon and took him over the top rope. We also had a spot where Sonny Kiss was twerking in front of Billy Gunn. MJF took Sonny Kiss and threw him over the top rope, to which the fans booed, of course. And then there was a bit of mix-up between MJF and Billy Gunn. Jimmy Havoc was then eliminated. Jimmy Havoc then came back in the ring with his Bucky staple gun and was stapling everyone all over the place. Marco Stunt was then eliminated by Billy Gunn. Then, let me see. After that, I think it was Joey Janela who was eliminated. Joey Janela was eliminated because Shawn Spears came into ringside with a chair and hit Joey Janela, who was on the turnbuckle, and he fell off as well. Orange Cassidy was eliminated by MJF. I mean, that was such a heel move. Not before Orange Cassidy gave some devastating kicks to Billy Gunn as well. I am hoping that Billy Gunn is okay after those kicks, because, man, they were killer. Then afterwards, Billy Gunn was eliminated. Chuck Taylor was eliminated as well by Kip Sabian. Kip Sabian was eliminated by Jungle Boy. And then MJF was knocked out of the ring, but he went through the second rope. And the commentators really try to get you to believe the fact that it was just Jungle Boy and Adam Page that was left. And then MJF comes in and eliminates Jungle Boy. And so now, next week, we're going to get Adam Page versus MJF. And the winner of that will win this diamond ring. And I predict that MJF is going to win it. I mean, of all the people who would win a diamond ring and be able to, put so much, douchebag into the fact that he has a diamond ring, it would be MJF. From the latest episode of Being the Elite, we found out that Hangman Page removed himself from the Elite, so he's kind of on his own because he's been losing a lot. Don't know how this will play into AEW Dynamite as well. Another thing too that I have an issue with AEW is that I don't think everyone who watches AEW Dynamite follows what's going on with Being the Elite. So I'm hoping that because it now seems like that some of the storylines from Being the Elite is kind of tying into AEW Dynamite. So I think that AEW may be smart to kind of either put on their YouTube channel Being the Elite or kind of promote the fact to watch Being the Elite so that some things make sense. If you haven't followed the Elite, their YouTube series for over the past years, a lot of things may not make sense to you. So I'm hoping that maybe AEW kind of change that up, because for people who don't really follow the indies or really know a lot of the wrestlers, some of the things, like, you don't have a reason to kind of root for someone or feel sorry for someone as well. We also had a great promo from Chris Jericho. They showed him a little bit backstage. I was watching, I rewatched this on someone who had a stream, and they had the stream from Fight TV. So I got to see a lot of things that happened during the break. So I don't know if this came off on the live broadcast or not, but they showed Chris Jericho backstage talking to people, and he saw Marco Stunt, and he was like, why is this kid not wearing a shirt? This kid should be wearing a shirt. You can get cold. And then he was like, how old are you? And Marco Stunt goes, I think he said 23 or 25 or 26 or something like that. And Chris Jericho was like, 26? He was like, you're not 26, you're a kid. And they asked him, when's your date of birth? And Marco Stunt gave him his date of birth, and he's like, oh, I guess you are 26-year-old. Well, you should still put on a shirt. So Chris Jericho comes down to the ring, cuts a promo. Of course, Chris Jericho is really good at doing these catchphrases and really know how to draw in the crowd to boo or cheer or laugh. SCU then, of course, comes out because Scorpio Sky was the one who pinned Chris Jericho and to give him his first loss in AEW. They went back and forth. SCU, saying, we don't deserve, Scorpio Sky saying, I don't deserve, to face Chris Jericho. And Chris Jericho goes, oh, yes, you do. We're going to face each other next week. And then Scorpio Sky was like, I don't deserve a title shot. And then the rest of the members of SCU was like, don't mention title shot. That Chris Jericho will put a title shot on anything and this, that, and the third. And Chris Jericho goes, nope, you're getting a title shot. Yes, you are. And he grabbed his hand. He was like, look, we shook hands. It's official. So, he said, yes, you are. You're getting a title shot. He grabbed his hand, said, look, we shook hands. It's official. So then, of course, Scorpio Sky says, you may not believe in me, but I know I believe in myself. So next week, we're going to get a matchup of Scorpio Sky versus Chris Jericho for the title. Next after that, we had Proud and Powerful versus Private Party. Now, this match was in the memory of Matt Travis, who was tragically killed when he was riding a bicycle. He was struck by a dump truck, I think I remembered, and he is the 28th cyclist that was killed this year in New York. A very tragic story. And they went into the story behind the connection of Matt Travis with Private Party and Proud and Powerful. Apparently, Matt Travis was in the streets, and Santana Ortiz convinced Matt Travis to get into wrestling, and Matt Travis kind of mentioned, I read, that it felt like he had another chance at life. So Matt Travis got into wrestling, and he went on to start training Private Party. So a very cool connection, not cool connection, but a connection between Private Party and Proud and Powerful. There was this weird spot where Isaiah Cassidy had, I think it was Ortiz, pinned, and the ref went to count 3, and he stopped at 2, but no one kicked out, and even the commentators were completely confused. You hear the crowd boo a little bit, and so at first they said that Santana grabbed the ref's foot, which clearly didn't happen because you see Santana walk up to the apron, and then you see the ref kind of get into Santana's face, and then they said, well, maybe actually Santana is the legal person. And I had to rewind it back, and I realized, no, Ortiz was actually the legal guy. It seemed like there was a spot that was missed by Santana. I'm guessing that Santana was supposed to get in the ring and probably had either interrupt the pin by jumping on Isaiah Cassidy, or he actually was supposed to pull the ref's leg. So very bad moment for what could have been a pretty good tag team match. But Private Party went on to win this match with the Gin and Juice as well. And then we get to the main event, which is Darby Allin versus Jon Moxley. This was a good match. Jon Moxley was doing his cool, entrance from the audience into the ring, and as he went to walk ringside, you just see Darby Allin come out of nowhere and pounce on Jon Moxley. This match went back and forth a lot, with Darby Allin getting a lot of offense. And it's pretty cool, too, of how popular Darby Allin has gotten. The crowd was being shown. There was a few fans in the crowd that had half their faces painted just like Darby. There was even a kid whose face was half painted. So it's pretty cool that, he's really starting to connect with the fans. Jon Moxley is a superstar. I'm very happy that Jon Moxley has this opportunity to be who he really was. This was the person who I felt he should have been in WWE. Not really Stone Cold but kind of insane, a mixture. And I remember saying this, a mixture of Stone Cold and Brian Pillman. Insane, but he has an edge. And that's exactly what Jon Moxley is. We've seen that, ever since he came to AEW, we've seen this side of him. Jon Moxley won this match with a paradigm shift from the second rope. And I don't know if this, feud will continue or who will come to step towards Jon Moxley in the end. So now I'm going to get into some predictions for tonight's TakeOver War Games and for Survivor Series tomorrow. So starting out with the buy-in, I think this is the first buy-in match for NXT TakeOver. We're going to have Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Angel Garza. I'm going to go with Angel Garza on this one. I like Angel Garza. He has charisma flowing out of him. Everyone loves when he rips off his pants. It sounds weird me saying it, but everyone loves that spot. And I think this is going to be a pretty good match because Angel Garza is pretty good and so is Swerve as well. But I have Garza pulling out on this one. Next up, we have Matt Riddle versus Finn Balor. I'm going to go with Finn Balor. I think that, this will continue his dominance as far as returning to NXT. It would make more sense for Finn Balor to, defeat Matt Riddle so he can continue on his angle of saying, is this the best that NXT has to offer? And this could possibly lead to, Johnny Gargano returning as well. I did see that Johnny Gargano claims that he's missing his first takeover since 2016, but I think it doesn't mean he won't show up. I think this means he's not in a match. I know a lot of people are predicting who is going to be the final person on Team Tommaso Ciampa. And some people are saying Johnny Gargano, but I actually do not have Johnny Gargano. I have Johnny Gargano returning to go after Finn Balor. So if Finn Balor loses this match, then it could be because Johnny Gargano interferes into this match as well. But I have Johnny Gargano returning just to come after Finn Balor, because Finn Balor is the one that took out Johnny Gargano. Next up, we got Pete Dunne versus Killian Dane versus Damian Priest. Normally with these triple threat matches, it only means that the feud is actually between two people. It's just that one is being protected of not being pinned. I unfortunately have Killian Dane being pinned because I feel like the main feud is between Pete Dunne and Damian Priest. I'm going to go with Damian Priest winning this match. I think a win will help Damian Priest more than it will help Pete Dunne. Then we have the first women's War Games match. We have Team Ripley, which is Rhea Ripley, Candice LeRae, Tegan Nox, and Mia Yim versus Shayna Baszler, Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kaylee Ray. I'm going to go with Team Baszler. I think that the other two horsewomen are going to interfere in this match. We could get, possibly interesting. I'm thinking maybe a surprise turn from Dakota Kai. I know that she just returned from injury, but I feel like they're playing the story of her being turned down by Rhea Ripley to not be a part of her team. Since Mia Yim was the last person to be added versus Dakota Kai. So I think that Dakota Kai may turn then, and this could lead to a feud between Rhea Ripley and Dakota Kai. Possibly even with Tegan Nox as well. I doubt that part, but I can see Rhea Ripley going against Dakota Kai because Rhea Ripley didn't pick Dakota Kai to be on her team. And then finally, we have the men's War Games match with the Undisputed Era versus Tommaso Ciampa, Keith Lee, Dominik Dijakovic, and a mystery partner. So everybody's been sounding off on who this mystery partner could be. Some people are saying Johnny Gargano. People are saying Velveteen Dream. Some people are even saying John Morrison, possibly Kevin Owens. I read why people think it's Kevin Owens. It kind of makes sense because Undisputed Era did attack Kevin Owens either Raw or SmackDown, last SmackDown. And so it makes sense for him to join the team to kind of like go back against the Undisputed Era. I don't think it's John Morrison because I have a feeling that he could be part of Team NXT on Survivor Series. John Morrison is a name that a lot of people know, and I think a return to Survivor Series is a bigger impact than it would be him just showing up randomly to go against the Undisputed Era. I feel like it could be Velveteen Dream. I'm very unsure of how his injury is coming along, if he is out until next year or he could possibly be, good enough to come back. So it could be either Velveteen Dream or Kevin Owens, but I'm going to go with Tommaso Ciampa's team winning this as well. I think it's going to be pretty even with the War Games match, that one heel team would win and one babyface team would win. So now we're going into Survivor Series. Going off of what's been announced so far, I don't think they didn't announce a pre-show match. So the first match, the winner of the triple threat between Pete Dunne, Killian Dane, and Damian Priest will actually go against Adam Cole at Survivor Series. So, I could see Adam Cole going against Damian Priest. It may be a little bit too early for him to get a title shot. So it could be easily Pete Dunne winning that triple threat match so we can have Adam Cole versus Pete Dunne. But I think regardless of who wins the match, Adam Cole's going to win the match anyway, especially with Undisputed Era lurking around backstage as well. So Adam Cole versus the winner of the triple threat match, it will be Adam Cole no matter what. I don't see a title change occurring on Survivor Series with NXT. Then we have the first women's triple elimination match. We have Team Raw, Charlotte Flair, Natalya, Asuka, Kairi Sane, and Sarah Logan versus Team Smackdown, Sasha Banks, Carmella, Dana Brooke, Lacey Evans, and Nikki Cross. And Team NXT, Rhea Ripley, Toni Storm, Mia Yim, Tegan Nox, and Candice LeRae. I feel really bad for Team NXT because those 4 women, Rhea Ripley, Mia Yim, Tegan Nox, and Candice LeRae, are going to be in the War Games match the night before. So they're going to be pretty sore coming out of this. So unfortunately, I do not have Team NXT winning this match. Team SmackDown kind of seems a bit weak to me, unfortunately. So I have Team Raw winning this match. We have Charlotte Flair, who, she's always a winner. Natalya, who's coming off the match with Crown Jewel. Asuka and Kairi Sane, who are the women's tag team champions, and a returning Sarah Logan. Unfortunately, I have Sarah Logan being eliminated. So maybe it could be Charlotte and Natalya, who are the winners for Team Raw. It could come down with Charlotte, Natalya, Sasha, and maybe Toni Storm. Who knows? But I can see Team SmackDown being pretty much almost eliminated. And I think in protection of the 4 women who were in the War Games match, I can see Toni Storm being the sole survivor for Team NXT as well. So then we have the men's triple elimination match. We have Team Raw, Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton, and Ricochet versus Team SmackDown, Roman Reigns, Mustafa Ali, Braun Strowman, Baron Corbin, and Chad Gable, I'm not saying that name, versus Team NXT. And no one knows who is Team NXT. It's been kept a mystery for this long, so that's why I think it could be John Morrison returning. Because why not announce who is the team if it's not a surprise return? So it could be John Morrison. It could be Velveteen Dream or Johnny Gargano. I'm trying to think who else. It could be Angel Garza, possibly. It could be Bronson Reed, maybe. Like they didn't say anything of or give any clues of who could be Team NXT. So I think it's going to be a lot of people who fans will cheer for. That's why I'm thinking it could be John Morrison returning will be a lot more effective with this match versus joining Team Ciampa, because there's no reason for Johnny Morrison to come after Undisputed Era if he's just coming to NXT. So it make more sense for John Morrison to represent Team NXT on Survivor Series. I may go with Team NXT on this one. The fact that they haven't been announced, when they are announced during Survivor Series, I think fans are going to pop for it. And I also think because they haven't been announced that it could be that star-studded that they would win the match. So next we have Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler versus Bayley. Like I always say with these triple threats, there's a third person there who is going to get pinned. And I feel like Bayley is the one that's going to get pinned because the real feud is between Becky and Shayna Baszler. Not saying that Bayley will be a non-factor in this match, but the hottest feud with these 3 is Becky and Shayna. I'm going to go with Becky Lynch on this one. I would like Shayna Baszler to win this, but I feel like Raw is going to get the overall wins. Or since there's it's going to get the overall wins. I mean, they could easily just do a tie just to be corny, since there's 8 matches for Survivor Series, and they can have like NXT win 4 and Raw win 4. But there's only 4 matches of different brands going against each other. Actually, no, 5. So actually, no, it's an odd number, so there won't be any ties. Next we have the tag team matches. The New Day versus the Viking Raiders versus the Undisputed Era. I would love for the Undisputed Era to win this match, but I think this is where Smackdown wins, and I'm going to go with the New Day. Actually, I don't know if the Viking Raiders ever lost a match. I think they're still undefeated, so they could be the winners as well, but I'm going to go with the New Day. I'm going to say that it is the Undisputed Era that's going to get pinned. That way, the Viking Raiders' win-loss record is still a bit protected because they didn't technically lose. Next up is the match that I think will be the match of the night. AJ Styles versus Roderick Strong versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm going to go with AJ Styles on this one. Even though all three of these men are so good, like you don't know who could actually win. It's very hard to call who would actually win this match. But I'm gonna go with AJ Styles. Even though a lot of people are saying Nakamura would win, because if Nakamura wins, then he'll be the king of strong styles, which I love. I love the fact that it's a play on words. So it could very well be Nakamura, just so we could all say he's the king of strong style. But I'm going to go with AJ Styles on this one. So let's see. I have Raw, SmackDown, Raw again, Team Raw, and then Team NXT. So I have Raw pretty much winning the night, like normally what happens with Survivor Series when it's brand versus brand. So next we have Bray Wyatt, The Fiend, going against Daniel Bryan. This is a very nice callback to when Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family and then ditched them. I like the red lights for The Fiend's entrance, but I'm not super happy of the red lights for every single match with The Fiend. It is kind of hard to follow the action, especially where the lights aren't as bright, especially when the match with Seth Rollins and The Fiend at Crown Jewel, there was a few spots where the red lights weren't shining as bright and you couldn't really tell what was going on, versus when you have white lights shining, you can clearly see what's still going on in the action. I'm very sure that the red lights is going to be, dominant during this match. It worked I liked it for Hell in a Cell. I felt like it worked for that type of match, but for a regular match like The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan, I don't think red lights would really work for this. I have The Fiend winning this match. It makes no sense for The Fiend to lose the title here. Maybe this will continue a feud with Daniel Bryan, or, The Fiend could just go on to a feud with someone else. I'm just, like I always said, it's very difficult the fact that The Fiend has the title, because it's all of a matter, he's going to eventually lose this title, and it's all a matter of who he will lose it to and how long this title reign would be. It'll be great if he holds the title until WrestleMania and continues these, feuds and getting revenge against people who, did wrong to him. Maybe he'll go against Randy Orton, even though he's on Raw. I mean, they did say they said The Fiend is actually going to SmackDown. I don't think they said, I think they said Bray Wyatt is on SmackDown and not The Fiend. But it'll be nice, to see The Fiend versus Randy Orton. They could, eventually we could get to Roman Reigns versus The Fiend. But I don't know. I don't know where they're going to go with this after The Fiend wins this, who he's going to go against. Then lastly, we have Rey Mysterio versus Brock Lesnar. I think this is a no disqualification match, so I have Brock Lesnar still winning. Even though this is a no DQ match, we know that Rey Mysterio is going to get help. I think Dominic, of course, will somehow get into this match, even though they keep claiming he's a teenager, and we all know that's a grown man. I don't think Cain Velasquez is going to interfere in this match because of his injury. But maybe Rey Mysterio will get help from somebody else. I don't know. But I still have Brock Lesnar winning this match. Just like normally every year, Brock Lesnar is going to hold this title until WrestleMania, until they go against Seth Rollins again, I'm guessing. But I really don't see them taking the title off of Brock Lesnar anytime soon. Maybe Royal Rumble or WrestleMania, but I really don't see them taking the title off of him with Rey Mysterio. So in the end, I have Raw dominating the brand supremacy. I don't have, in the 3 title matches, I don't have the title changing hands between The Fiend, Brock Lesnar, and Adam Cole. All 3 of them retain their titles, and I think this could be a pretty good show. I do question why we get this, brand versus brand, what the reason why we need to do this. I understand is for bragging rights, but I think they should add a stipulation, to Survivor Series to kind of make us care for it. A lot of people are excited that we get, unique matchups like AJ Styles, Roderick Strong, and Nakamura. We were seeing Seth Rollins and Tommaso Ciampa on NXT. We were seeing Keith Lee being heavily featured on Smackdown, where he stood toe-to-toe with Braun Strowman. We also seen Drew McIntyre stand toe-to-toe with Keith Lee. Keith Lee really been featured these past couple of weeks, too. So, shout out to him. But, it'd be cool if they added a stipulation that, whatever brand, wins, maybe, a title shot for the captain, or, I don't know, just add some type of stipulation to kind of give people a reason to want to fight each other versus brand supremacy. Kind of give a reason of why, heel and face would want to be on the same team. Because if, a true heel wouldn't want to be on the same team as someone. So as far as with Team SmackDown, I fully expect, Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns to kind of turn on each other. If Baron Corbin and Roman Reigns are completely cool during the men's elimination match, this whole thing is pointless. So that's it for the WrestleBread podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Shout out to Julian and Rob Bass from the Wrestling Court Podcast on AlternativeMinds.com, Keita and Jay from the Keita and Jay Show, Chris from We Talk Next, Nando and Larry from Half K Podcast, and Devin and Hafiz from Clark Street Wrestling Podcast. Coming up next week, my next episode will be a little earlier than usual because I'll be giving reviews for both Takeover and for Survivor Series as well. And then the episodes will return to normal on Saturdays, where I go over the highlights for the week, all the falling out from NXT and from Raw and SmackDown after Survivor Series and NXT TakeOver, what show AEW Dynamite is going to produce now that they lost this week in ratings as well. Be sure to hop on Twitter and follow me at Jaydee Talks, and follow the podcast too at WrestleBread as well. Leave a review. Let me know your thoughts, your predictions for TakeOver and for Survivor Series. Until next time, guys, peace.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed the show, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Check us out at WrestleBread.com and subscribe to WrestleBread on YouTube for more breaking news and JD's opinions.